listen, this entire thing has been built. When Deng Xiaoping, you just mentioned a while ago, basically the Chinese people made a trade-off for political freedom to try to get material better because the country was so poor. And I fully understand the time why they did make that decision. But they would thought, and I think everybody thought, at least people that didn't know what the CCP was like, what the Chinese Communist Party was like, thought that they would become more liberal over time as the economy and the middle class grew, which has been the exact opposite of what's happened. But this is a creation of Wall Street, the City of London. It was the big banks, the investment banks, the hedge funds that financed the growth. It was the financial interest in Wall Street that literally deindustrialized America. I mean, the City of London deindustrialized England. They deindustrialized the West. They shipped the factories and the jobs to China because they're looking for cheap labor. And over in China, you have slave labor. They don't pay the old 100 names, that great, concept of the common man in China. It's been screwed over. And in this regard, he's worked for no safety concerns, no labor unions, no environmental concerns. The suicide rate among these people is incredibly high. If you look at like the Foxconn, factories, and so that's slave labor financed by Wall Street, and it cahoots with the global corporations. And that's why the corporations, either forced technology transfers or intellectual property theft. I mean, NPR did a series, I think a month or two ago, where they went around to, I think, something like 200 or 300 companies that had complained to the Commerce Department here about intellectual property theft, cyber intrusions by the Chinese. And when they went around, every company admitted it happened, and not one company would go on the record or go on radio to say it because they didn't want blowback from the Chinese.
Yeah. So
the corporations are the lobbyists, and the investment banks and the commercial banks are the investor relations department. This is why Trump is president. Make America Great Again is about returning America to her former glory as a manufacturing superpower. Right? That's when this country was greatest. This country's great when America is the workshop for the world, which it has been, right, since our great rise. And what happened is the elites on Wall Street and the elites in these global corporations had no compunction about shipping those jobs over. And it's the working class people and the middle class people, particularly in the Rust Belt, industrial America, that made Donald Trump president of the United States for this simple reason. And that's why this is the defining, this is going to be the defining narrative of 2020. You're going to have some other stuff on the margin, but this is because it is who can solve this problem is going to govern the party or the whatever political confederation or coalition comes together that can solve this problem, right, is going to be in power for a very long time. That's why I say Donald Trump, the deplorables coupled with 20 to 25% of the African-American working class, 25 to 30% of the Hispanic working class can form a coalition like in 1932 that could govern the country for 50 years because they will have solved the problem that the elites foisted upon them of bringing manufacturing jobs back from China. That's the central heart of this. And whoever, I tell you, this is why Joe Biden, I think it's why Joe Biden's starting to drop in polls, not just he's so old. He is the most compromised of all the candidates about China.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
Is a globalist. He's approved all these trade deals. He's also responsible with Obama for the Munich of the 21st century. That's these islands in the South China Sea. And as we go on in history, people are going to realize they're a massive problem, not a small problem, and who allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
This is going to be a huge problem. People talk about, if I was around during the Revolutionary War, I would have been with the Patriots, or if I'd been, in the United States in the 1930s, I would have been there saying, we've got to stand up to Hitler. Well, that's all nice. But right now, we're living in times, right, where you're going to be, the people that hear this interview or read you in the Gateway Pundit are going to have a moral choice. That moral choice is coming down to things like Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong are like the Patriots in 1776. Those kids are on the street, and if you think that millennials are deadbeats, if you think millennials don't understand how the world works, if you think millennials have lost any kind of courage or guts or tenacity to stand up to something, just have you and your kids watch the videos and watch what's going on in Hong Kong, because there You have kids, many of whom are Christians, singing Christian hymns. And these kids, wherever their religious beliefs are in the streets fighting for the rule of law, fighting for the right to assembly, fighting for the right of free speech, right? Fighting for the right of representation. They are fighting for the exact same thing the Patriots in 1776 are fighting for, and they're not backing down. They're being tear gassed. They're being beaten. They're having rubber bullets shot at them. They're having their eyes put out. They're being threatened at work now. They're going to be obviously threatened at school when they don't go back, and they refuse to buckle to the most totalitarian government in modern history.
Yeah.
A government that has killed 100 million or 150 million, 100 million Chinese through collectivization, through the Great Leap Forward, through these massive famines.
Well,
okay?
Let alone Steve, let alone 300 million through abortion. I mean, the population of the U.S. and then some. You know,
the one-child policy.
Yeah.
I call it the hungry ghost of China, are very hungry.
Yeah.
The forced abortions, particularly the forced abortions of young girls.
Yeah, that was
right. That's why I had companies.
Well, and
my company's always had a huge misbalance of young men to women.
Well, that's the impact of that. The impact of that's still yet to be seen. And it may not be good. One last comment, Steve. I could talk to you for hours, but I really enjoyed what you shared. Well, it was almost shocking, but the way you said there's 3 ways of going to war, and we're at 2 of them right now with China. And you talked about
and I repeat this this came from the book, which every one of your listeners and the people that read Joe Hoft should get their hands on. It's called Unrestricted Warfare. It was written in the late 90s when China came into the World Trade Organization. It was written by 2 colonels in the People's Liberation Army, one of whom is a major general today. I think the other one may be out of the military. It is the most significant book on military strategy, I believe, since Clausewitz. And it lays out what modern war is about. And it says modern war has 3 elements to it. One is information/cyber. The second is economic. And the third is kinetic, guns up. And it essentially says the West is so advanced in kinetic warfare, right, that we have to focus on the other 2, information/cyber and economic. And if you think about it, this is in 1999 when their economy is only $1 trillion, right? I think we're like 9 times the size they are, 8 times the size they are. And they very systematically go through how they engage in economic and information war against the West. And it's their blueprint. They strategically... These are not just, as President Trump say, tough hombres. They are tough and smart hombres. Okay?
Yeah.
We have never had an enemy. This is a 4,000-year-old country. It's now run by a radical, totalitarian, mercantilist dictatorship. And the moral choice of the West in the first half of the 21st century is, do we confront this now? Or do we do what the West did in the 1930s? Do we try to kick the can down the road and have a lot of happy talk and then have to engage in some sort of kinetic conflict at some time in the future? I argue we don't do that. You confront it now. You confront it because we have the tools to confront it because we created it. The capital, market, and the technology. Yeah. And if we're firm, and President Trump, if we have his back, we will solve this.
Did you notice Trump's comments on China over the last couple days at the G7?
Yes, I have followed it. I have followed it closely. So.
Wow. Because he's
negotiating style.
Yeah. So it really ties into all you've shared. It's just there's just so much going on. Steve, I've had you for 20 minutes, and I really appreciate it. I know we could talk for another 2 hours, but
Joe,
I better cut this thing off.
I want to say anything I can help, anything I think people that either listen to you if you put this up, or people at Gateway Pundit or read your writings. There's only a handful of people that really get what's going on, and Joe Hoft's one of them. I've known you for years, and your stuff's brilliant. And now that you literally are on the front lines, because Hong Kong is the key that picks the lock. And what happens in Hong Kong over the next several months will determine, I think, the direction of the world for the next couple of decades. And so I think it's that important, that big a deal. And I just say stay safe and keep reporting.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time.
Brother.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.